Howdy folks. Wasn't going to do 2 of these little walks in a row, but man, oh man, it's today a day that I absolutely need to get out and just take a breather before I burn it all down. So, don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm going to be the bearer of bad news. We are looking very low for Final Fantasy. So I heard rumors from other stores of this happening. I'm like, oh no, it's not gonna happen to me. I have good relationships with distributors. I put my pre-orders in plenty of time. I've been talking to them weekly, daily. You know, can you give me my numbers? What's it looking like? And I was assured, oh, things are looking good. You're gonna get play boosters, won't even be an issue. Everything's fine. And lo and behold, finally, I corner 2 distributors that have been lagging with numbers, which I haven't been able to receive any emails or phone calls or communication with. And I finally cornered them today on a Friday, a couple weeks before release here for Final Fantasy, and asked them what my Final Fantasy numbers were. And these 2 particular distributors, big fat whopping 0. And both of these I spent, I think, on the last Tarkiers, whereas Aether Drift. One of them in particular, I mean, I don't want to air out my dirty laundry, but man, I'm going to air out my dirty laundry. And I don't know if I'm going to 100% blame distributors here, because I think there's some really shady crap going on with Wizards of the Coast right now with Amazon. Because Amazon miraculously has been restocked over and over. Every time it hits that threshold of where play boosters become insanely profitable again, then Amazon is miraculously restocked. And Wizards of the Coast will deny that they have anything to do with Amazon. Amazon is they just buy a certain amount, but when you actually look at their little Amazon store, it does say sells from Wizards of the Coast, like fulfilled by Wizards of the Coast. So again, this is like, it's just misdirection by them. I feel for distributors, because I think this is why distributors have been so greedy in the past few sets, because the 2022-2023 era, they got murdered by Wizards of the Coast. When Magic is your big, even breadwinner for distributors, it's one of the main reasons to be a distributor at this point is just the amount of volume that you can do from places like Wizards of the Coast and Pokemon. But when Wizards of the Coast in 2022 decided to do the Amazon dumps when products weren't selling, it put distributors in a bind to where they lost a lot of money, because they also had to adjust their prices down to try to reflect what Amazon was selling it for. And distributors already work on this insanely low margin. I don't even know how distributors make it work in today's day and age with the cost of labor going up and the cost of like retail space, or at least warehouse space, has gone through the roof. Like warehouse space in the United States used to be something that was actually quite affordable in many different areas. Even places like California would have some fairly affordable, warehousing space. And now things have changed. Like post-COVID, I've heard that sort of industry has just been hammered. Like the cost of the retail space or the warehouse space has been increasing. These places that didn't own, they just leased, their rent has gone through the roof, and labor costs have just gone through the roof for the distributors. So pack on also with the horrible 2022-2023, where distributors lost a lot of money with having to, I don't know you'd think that there would be some sort of safeguards or some sort of contracts with Wizards of the Coast if they ever dip below a certain price. That I know that other games do that, like a lot of distributors literally just distribute for particular companies, where they charge some sort of fee of basically handling all the product, and the distributors will set the prices. And but with Wizards of the Coast, I hear that's not the case. I hear with Wizards of the Coast, it's distributors literally order it at a certain price from Wizards of the Coast, and then they resell it again to stores and whatever contracts they have with Wizards, where that can go or whatnot. And it's been this is the issue we've been having too with Pokemon and Magic, is they haven't been doing their due diligence, in my opinion, with distributors, where the distributors are now, I mean, this has been going for years, masquerading as stores, so they'll create their own online stores. You'll see some of these stores on the TC players and the eBays that will just have thousands upon thousands of available product at release. Now, there are some stores that can really build up to those numbers over time, and there are some that have used some open up multiple locations, and they're able to get a lot to do big online stores, and that's how they do that. I know there's one in Arizona that just has done a bunch of local game stores throughout the Phoenix area, and then they basically take out max allocation of all these little storefronts, and then that's how their online store is their big breadwinner. So I know there's that going on as well, but I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm trying to get my thoughts together with where I'm going with distribution, but basically, you know, it's just the entire system is so busted right now. In my opinion, and this is why I will kind of fight in tooth and nail for the LGS model, because I think that it is like, maybe not right now with Final Fantasy, where there are people that are just collecting this, have nothing to do with Magic. There's just a lot of, it hit like the perfect storm. We had the tariffs go down, we had the stock market go crazy, we had Bitcoin go back up in price, and we had all this money again that now is able to be moved from these other places that just, you know, people can now sell out, make their profit on the stock market, make their profit on the Bitcoin, and then move it into another asset that they think will go up. And now Final Fantasy looks incredibly appealing. And it led to this, you know, kind of self-fulfilling prophecy with that happening, with the hype of, well, first of all, the hype of Final Fantasy is definitely there, but then that creates its own hype within people that want to, you know, move money from the stock market, from Bitcoin into Final Fantasy. And of course that caused a run on this market. However, there's more of going on right now with the problems with, you know, stores not being able to get Final Fantasy. And yeah, it's just, like I said, the entire industry is just so broken because, as I stated, the LGS model, I think, it's a must for this industry going forward. It's a place, like, yes, even if you say 90% of purchases aren't done at the LGS, that 10% is so relevant to the fact of people actually having a space to actually play. I know that the board game industry tried to go online a couple of years back, like most of them, and were selling directly on Amazon, and they kind of cut out distribution in LGSs because they're like, okay, board games are mainly played at home. And sales crashed because people need a place where they actually come and try out, and you need to be a little bit of a sales force as well for board games. And so I'd like to make the argument that LGSs are a lot different than some of these other retail Main Street industries that, you know, I could see kind of going the way of the dinosaur with like Amazon and having things delivered to your front door. But with gaming requires another element that requires a play space and people to actually play with, in my opinion. And that's why I'll kind of defend this tooth and nail. And it's not just like this me being greedy about, okay, I have this store and I'm trying to look out for my own bottom lines, which I am. I'm really trying to defend this model that is necessary for Pokemon and Magic and all these other games going forward to be healthy, because we're gonna go into bear markets again. We're going to go into lulls where people are distracted by a video game. So this is, I always see with the correlation between card games and video games. When we have a hot video game, a lot of times card games suffer because everyone then moves on to the online game, the video game, and they're not playing the card game, they're investing it there. And then when we have like this low, and that's my opinion right now, like what's a big game right now, online space? I know that whole industry has been struggling for the past couple of years of really getting out this like big hit. And so then a lot of that attention has gone back into the card game industry, and I think we're hitting this perfect point too. And nostalgia is huge. Like I saw StarCraft Brood War is bigger than ever, which is a 20, what is it, like, it's 20 plus years old. I mean, it's an old game. StarCraft Brood War, now people are getting back into it, and I saw a lot of nostalgia for like Oblivion. They came out with the Oblivion remastered and a bunch of remastered edition games because it looked kind of sad, I guess, that the video game industry just hasn't been able to put out this like these breakthrough hits to where everyone is getting so nostalgic for the masterpieces. And I think that's the same thing with what we're seeing with Final Fantasy, is everyone's so nostalgic for the good old days when IPs were good and storylines were good and characters were something that you could relate to and wanted to actually collect them. And that also has led to the kind of the run of Final Fantasy. So anyway, let's go back to my whole little thought here before I get sidetracked, beyond sidetracked, and maybe we'll actually look at the scenery. I think people like to see that. But anyway, so I'm frustrated. Let's go back to like distributors. Like distributors, I think they're holding back as much of this product as possible, because I know this is what pisses me off. So I know that the two of the particular distributors that cut me, I know we're going to see prices. I'm going to be able to order play boosters and bundles and starter kits and all the things I was cut. I know I'm going to be able to order them 2 weeks later for a premium, like 40% more. They're going to put it up on the website and say, hey, oh, we have these canceled orders. We have these products now. Okay, here you go. Now everyone can buy these at these higher prices. That's what they've done with Pokemon. I just barely got in some Pokemon for 3x the price of what the original distribution price was back when it was released with Journey Together. Like, I'm still paying like way more for these booster bundles and these booster boxes, and then these distributors are miraculously restocked with these at a higher price, at a premium. And I think we're going to see the exact same thing happen with Final Fantasy. So there's shenanigans going on at the distribution level, and I don't know if I really blame them. Like I was talking about, in 2022, 2023, they were crushed with Wizards of the Coast just dumping everything on Amazon. Whenever a product didn't do well, like New Capenna or Baldur's Gate collector's boosters, they just dumped them on Amazon. And they put them at like prices that distributors couldn't compete with. And then stores would get outraged that, why can't we get this at the price at distribution? And it just led everyone a bad taste in the mouth. And I know that the end of 2024, I believe, Wizards of the Coast had a massive meeting with distributors where distributors were about ready to throw in the towel with Wizards of the Coast. Like, they all banded together and they kind of cornered Wizards of the Coast and demanded a change, that, you know, this stuff, the Amazon dump stop happening. And supposedly it happened. Supposedly Wizards of the Coast was going to put a little bit of price controlling on Amazon so it didn't have these massive dumps. And we did see a recovery in Magic the Gathering after that, but I don't know if it had anything to do with that, or that Magic just had a bit of a recovery from kind of the Lord of the Rings days of Lord of the Rings just eating up every bit of money that was going into Magic, and everything else kind of failed in that time period. And so I know distributors lost their shirt over Magic, so I don't really blame them for being greedy when they can be greedy. So they finally get like a set like Tarkir and Final Fantasy, and they're going to hold back things. They're going to do shenanigans like, you know, start their own little storefronts. They're going to sell directly to streamers that will pay, or, you know, streamers and rip and shippers that will pay premiums for stuff. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is the little guy gets cut out. And the whole thing is, I'm not a little guy. That's what's kind of ticking me off. I went over how much I've done with these particular distributors. I've already done over 100K this year. 100K this year with these distributors that cut me. And I did pre-orders. My last pre-order with Tarkir was over $10,000. And the Aether Drift, Aether is what's really, really ticking me off with one of these distributors, is I have been telling him, how can I build my numbers up with you? How can I, prove to you I'm here with the long run? Because, I haven't done as much business with at least Magic with this particular distributor because their prices are absolutely terrible. But I'm like, okay, I want to build up so I can get these premium stuff. What do you need me to take? And I took like 18 collectors from Aether Drift, when they collapsed. And so I bought them when they're now going under the price that I paid for them. I took 18 of those. I took a whole pre-order of someone that canceled that they needed someone to take. I think that was Aether Drift or Tarkir as well. I think that was Tarkir. And I took someone's, which actually ended up being good though, and being good for me. I took another store's whole Journey Together. It was a really, really small order, but I took that because I'm like, okay, what can you do? And like, well, let me see what so my rep was like, well, let me see what I have here, what on these canceled orders. And yeah, you can take stuff and we'll get you back. And, it's just frustrating that I just went through that. Those Aether Drifts are still rotting on my shelf because I'm trying to wait for, a decent time for those to go up in value, which I think they will. I think collector boosters are good long term. And I think everything's going to look appealing compared to $800 collector boosters in Final Fantasy. So that's just incredibly frustrating. So it just goes to prove to me that it's like, they don't have my back. Like, why should I even try to build a relationship with these people if they're not going to, so I'm just frustrated. I don't know how all these other stores do it. Like, what am I doing wrong to where I get cut last minute without any communication? So thankfully I have a good relationship with one distributor. We are getting the same amount we get every store, and they were really, really good with us of giving, quite a bit of collector's boosters for Final Fantasy, and even some Japanese collector boosters, and quite a bit of the collector commanders compared to, what I've heard other stores of getting. So, shout out to my main distributor, but without, I was relying on these other two distributors to at least coming through with like a dozen of stuff. Like each of these distributors I put in for tens of thousands of dollars for Final Fantasy, and just getting completely cut is just one of the distributors told us they only had enough for people that chose them for their what's called their WPN distributor. So what happens is, like for pre-releases, you're supposed to choose a distributor. So whenever you get anything that's like WPN allocated, it's allocated through that distributor. And most of them do that. Like Flesh and Blood does that, Lorcana does that, Pokemon does that. You pick a distributor that's your main distributor, and you'll get specifically allocated product. And their whole excuse is they only had product enough for their allocated stores. Now, whoever's choosing this particular distributor for their WPN allocations, what are they, lazy or insane? And it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that they have that much volume with people that actually chose them as their WPN, because this is the distributor everyone just like rags on because their pricing's bad. They've been super, I don't know. Again, I don't want to air out dirty laundry and make things worse by like insulting my strategic partners. But this time I'm just pissed. I'm just pissed off that I feel like I've gone out of my way to take things to try to establish relationships. But so many times I'm like, hey, email me, hey, communicate with me if there's anything to help me need to move. And it's just been like falling on deaf ears with reps and distributors at this point. But it's just like, man, when the first one, like, well, we don't have anything for Final Fantasy, I'm like, oh my God, well, that sucks. Like, yeah, I was relying on this. I'm like, okay, well, it's got this other one. This other one, though, they're going to come through, right? I've been talking to them weekly about that, and they're like, yeah, by Friday we'll have your numbers for you. And I finally get a hold of them, and then they don't have anything for me. They just don't have anything. Things were over allocated, and they had to cut people, and blah, blah, blah. So I think there's a little bit of other shenanigans going on as well with Wizards of the Coast, because of talking to another distributor when they had plenty of play boosters available, and all of a sudden they couldn't. And this is coming from them. It's like that they were able to, it was open restocks. They were able to get more from Wizards of the Coast, and then all of a sudden it was complete. So I put in for additional orders from my main distributor for a couple hundred more play boosters, and it was, coming down to 12, which is fine. Like 12 is good. It's more play boosters than nothing. But even that original order, which like a week ago was like, yeah, you're going to get it, no problem. These are going to be things that are going to be fulfilled. There's plenty of play boosters. Don't worry about it. There's more coming down the pipeline. And a little bit of side note there. I have talked to one distributor, the distributor that cut me completely. And they said, oh, it's going to come in waves. Don't worry. We're going to have stuff for you on this second wave because we have more coming. And so you'll get some on the second wave, which again, I'll believe it when I see it. And yeah, so, but this is what I think is going on. I guess this is what's taken me 17 minutes to get to this whole thing. Wizards of the Coast, I think, is vile. They are a vile, disgusting company. And I mean, it's a business. This is what happens. But I mean, this company deserves to fail. Like, if there's one company I want to see declare bankruptcy and be taken over by a company that actually manage them properly, it would be Wizards of the Coast. Because this is, I think what ended up happening is Wizards of the Coast saw what things were going for on Amazon, and they pulled everything. They pulled everything from any sort of reorders or distributors. So during this pre-order window, what's supposed to happen is it's supposed to give enough time for distributors and stores to collect numbers, figure out what they need to come up with, collect money, order, and then have it there by the pre-release. All of this stuff is very time sensitive. It can't be done months and months in advance. This is things that need to be gathered and collected and prepared for that little release, and it needs to, the infrastructure needs to happen. All this stuff needs to happen quite, like the window is it's a really, really cramped window to do so. And what I think what ended up happening was the Coast is seeing, oh my God, like they push collector boosters at one price on Amazon. They sell out, so they put some more up. They sell out. They put even more up. Oh my, they're going for $800. Okay, this isn't stopping. Where's the end? And that's when they pulled it all. They pulled it all from distributors to be able to order more, and they continue to dump on Amazon. So that's kind of the problem that we're at right now. And so if you are complaining about the prices of what things are really going for, I think Amazon is a good, like, they've been playing these games with this kind of slow drip of putting on Amazon to just see what the threshold is of where they can get away with it, of the pricing. And so, again, I don't even know why they came back up with their MSRP, because the whole point of the MSRP to begin with was, like, Pokemon Center still does that. They sell at their MSRP. When it's gone, it's gone. They limit customers if they need to limit customers. But then the manufacturer suggested real retail price is what the retail believes is a good margin from the markup price from wholesale. And Wizards of the Coast got rid of that because they wanted to play games like 5 years ago or 6 years ago when they got rid of the MSRP. And now we're back to like, oh, we're going to reestablish MSRP because it gives like a baseline that we can advertise stuff at, and then people can anchor a price point of where they believe something is worth, and that way it won't feel so, or they don't think they'll have some runaway prices where, you know, we have $90 collector boosters from New Capenna, that kind of nonsense that happened on Amazon. So here we are now with Final Fantasy, and that's exactly what I think why I got cut and why other stores are getting cut right now, is because I think Wizards of the Coast pulled a lot from distributors, didn't give distributors as much as they thought they were getting, and now everyone's left scrambling. So it did seem to me that the distributors seemed exhausted and frustrated. So again, I don't want to completely just, you know, go ape and start blaming them for stuff and being pissed off that you know, I'm getting zero with, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars already spent this year at these distributors. And, you know, the buck still stops at Wizards of the Coast. It's just a nightmare. So I'm regretting, eventually I'll get a post up on Patreon. But the numbers are lower now. They were like so much higher a week ago than Tarkir Dragonstorm's. Like, oh, this is great. This is like this is some healthy numbers. Like, of course it wouldn't even come near the demand because this set was ordered like 10 times more than any other set that I've ever had. And so I'm like, okay, I know I'm gonna get, you know, have to cut people like crazy, but I'm like, it's gonna be like 2 collectors per high tier patron, 1 for everyone else. Like that's gonna be feasible. It's be manageable between, you know, the 4 distributors. And mind you, the other distributor gave me 3. I mean, I'm thankful for 3 collectors boosters, but 3. I got like 2 commander decks, 3 collector boosters, and 2 bundles. And then like I did get 24 play boosters because they allocated them before we had the run on the play boosters. But it's just like, even those numbers were so pathetic. Yeah, I feel for any new store that's trying to like get their foot in the door with this, if they're gonna be able to even get product at this point. And yeah, so I don't know, just bear with me as I try to figure things out. Like it's embarrassing. Like I feel horrible. I've tried and tried. I don't know what I could have done differently. Maybe just like every day, hammered on the distributors. Are you going to get, like, this is what I'm going to demand from now on, is I want communication ASAP with them. I don't want to Friday before release. But the thing is, I've been like this entire week, I've been trying to get a solid number out of these distributors. What am I getting? What am I getting? What do you have for me? And I couldn't get a solid answer. And now finally, you know, when we're in the 11th hour, now they're telling me nothing. And so I wish I would have had some time to prepare, to move things over, to maybe give, you know, patrons a heads up so they could actually order elsewhere. But as I stated, it's going to look terrible. How I'm going to do for collectors and commanders, it's just going to be super, super low. It's going to be like 1 per patron for both of those of people that have been with me for a long time. And we're going to try to spread around, like I said, if you get cut with collectors boosters, I'm going to try to get a gift bundle. I know those margins are insane on gift bundles. And yeah, even play boosters. So this is the first time I've had to allocate play boosters from a normal standard set. The first time I've just had to cut, and I don't even have a case. I even have a full case for every patron that ordered. That's how crazy this is, and how the numbers got cut. But again, I don't know where. Like I'm just beside myself right now, and that's what I'm saying. I'm out in this walk trying to touch grass here and rethinking that this is the industry I want to be in, because it's just like this sucks. When the market's hot, I can't get a damn thing to sell. So I can't make money when the market's hot. And when the market's cold, then I can't make margins on anything. Even locally, because you have people that will not buy at certain prices. And it's just like a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario of where again, the stores just get absolutely crushed. And it seems like the whole business model is this cash flow business. It's just to be like these soulless online sellers that just buy 1,000 of each product and throw it up no matter what. Don't even they just automate it all and let the TCG market price dictate what they get. And sometimes they lose, sometimes they win on stuff. But it's just, you know, this is what leads these ebbs and flows and starvations and you know, time periods. Is like these sort of business model, I think, are some completely parasitical to the entire industry too, because they don't give it's not something that's managed. They don't give a crap about like the ecosystem of the game. It's just, you know, your typical drop shipping basically at this point of not quite drop shipping because they have to physically handle it once it gets, but it's just like one step removed, and it's just kind of frustrating this industry within. So anyway, again, I apologize to all the patrons. Like, this is like, I'm embarrassed because I was very, very adamant of like, I'm gonna be able to get Final Fantasy. This is why I try to tell patrons before they sign up to please try to find value in everyday orders. And we still have some good deals right now, like Lord of the Rings. I think Lord of the Rings is actually slam dunk. I think Lord of the Rings will appreciate before Final Fantasy does. The Final Fantasy is gonna get printed in the ground for the next 3 years. So you're gonna have plenty of opportunities on everything not called collector boosters. Gift bundles and collector boosters, only 2, maybe pre-release kits, but everything else, bundles are gonna get a reprint. Lord of the Rings reprinted their bundles. So these Final Fantasy bundles will get a reprint. The starter kits will get a reprint. The play boosters will get reprinted until the printers break down. So all of those are toxic beyond toxic products. I know that people want them now while it's hot and want to, experience the set. And I get it. But if you're looking to like buy and hold long-term on play boosters, bundles, or starter kits right now, don't do it anyway. You'll have a more opportune time, in my opinion, to get in on those play boosters as they get restocked. So like, Wizard of the Coast is not going to let them stay out of stock. And it's going to, in my opinion, what's going to happen is going to be the same thing with Lord of the Rings, is where set boosters actually got discounted. We had a time period where set boosters and draft boosters from Lord of the Rings got discounted. I would not be surprised to see the same thing. And I'm calling it right now. I think Edge of Eternity is going to be the most crap set ever, to where no one's going to buy it. So we're going to go into a bear market with Edge of Eternities. And then I've left a bad taste in my patron's mouth that I had to cut everyone. So then I'm thinking that people are going to under order because they don't want to be disappointed. And then I'll get everything. And when they had the opportunity to actually get these big numbers, and like I said, it's just a rat race at this point, and it's just so incredibly frustrating. So again, I don't know where to go from here. Like again, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. I'm going to put out my exact numbers on Patreon so you can actually view them and see exactly how I allocated and how much I allocated for my store and how I allocated. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to quit in frustration, and I don't blame them for quitting in frustration because, I've tried to, every message I've looked back and I know I've specifically stated to everyone that's joined, to be like, please use your monthly allocations. This is why I don't actually charge or don't consider pre-orders part of your monthly allocations, because I can never guarantee anything. We've been here before. I remember this is the same thing with a few sets. What was pre-Baldur's Gate? Like that time period was really rough too, of trying to get like everyone. I had to cut people and whatnot. And then we went through a period I didn't have to cut a damn thing. What was a set that I didn't do one cut even on collector's boosters? That was like not too long ago. But anyway, so yeah, I'm frustrated. You're frustrated. We're all frustrated. I'm doing my best. I'm gonna try to I don't know, figure out how I can like get a good solid rep or two from some of these distributors that will, work with me, and we'll have to build things back up. So anyway, that's my kind of rant for today. So I'm gonna go back and play some F&M, post this on Patreon, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. So appreciate everyone that stuck around. Like I said, I don't blame anyone if they are upset, they want to quit the service. Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, well, we got dogs coming our way. Got to control some dogs here. Thanks for watching.